song, at least. And we're live. It is Friday, June 11th, 5:03 p.m. And it's Duck with Pants and Buffaloes with Wings Day on In Lieu of Fun.
It sure is.
We are here with Ducks with Pants, a.k.a. E.G. Phillips, who composed the first In Lieu of Fun theme song, the only In Lieu of Fun theme song. Well, I mean, like, for now.
We will have a vote, of course, a poll as to whether the audience wants to adopt this as the official In Lieu of Fun theme song.
We are nothing if not rigorous in our.
That's right.
In our commitment to democracy.
Radically democratic.
I would expect no less due diligence.
So, look, the story here is twofold. Number one, last week, as you all know, on Saturday, in the impromptu, unconsenting rapturing of a member of the audience in for an interrogation.
I would say it was rapturing under false because I in fact asked the question, so it was reasonable for me to assume that I was
you just bait and switched him.
That's true.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's the start of a new it's the start of a new tradition on In Lieu of Fun, where not only do we bring people in under false pretenses and interrogate them, but we then assign them work. And in this case, the work that we assigned Mr. E.G. Phillips was for him and his fake band, Ducks with Pants, to write the official theme song of In Lieu of Fun. So he has now done that.
I want to also just state for a second that I'm a little upset at how the output that you've gotten as a measure of success in your horrible experiment of rapturing in without consent or guests.
Yes, this does seem like the wrong sort of reward pattern.
Yeah,
yes, exactly.
Like, this is no ill deed goes unrewarded.
Yes, I'm like, this is the worst possible like signaling that we could give you.
All right, so that's the first thing that happened in this. The second thing that happened was that we invited Mike Chase on the show for this evening. And conveniently, he was going to do it, and that was great. But then he realized he had a scheduling conflict that he might not get home before 5 o'clock. So this gave us a perfect window in which to debut the song while Mike Chase was late. But unbeknownst to anybody why, Mike Chase declared it Buffalo Wings Night on In Lieu of Fun.
I don't even think he knew about Cheese Night, which makes it all
I don't
the
know
more
how
perplexing.
I don't know how he knew about Cheese Night. It's not Cheese Night. It's apparently Buffalo Wings Night. So Kate and Mike Chase and I all have buffalo wings to eat on the show. If you're one of those people who bitches at Kate about, you know, eating on the show when she eats a couple.
Boy, aren't you? You're not gonna like this episode.
Trigger warning, man. We are gonna be slobbering over the chicken wings.
Yeah.
There's just I just want to, you know, some people don't mind that and some people mind that. If you mind that, this episode, you know, there are a lot of episodes, 440 episodes of In Lieu of Fun. This one's not for you. So with that, I'm going to sit back and eat chicken wings and sip Prosecco. And Ducks with Pants is going to perform the official theme song, or the prospective official theme song of In Lieu of Fun.
All right. Well, thank you very much. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here. I have not had many opportunities to perform. I've been somewhat avoiding the whole Zoom performance culture because it's a little intimidating, it's a little deflating. It's not quite the same thing as being in front of a live audience, but at least I can see Kate and Ben's friendly faces and whatever is scrolling past.
You're gonna start singing, and I know what's gonna happen, which is the Greek chorus chat is just gonna like go nuts. So
yes. So we can talk a bit about the process of the song afterwards. I find giving too much preamble before the song, sort of explaining it, somewhat ruins the joke, so to speak. But I will say that it was a happy confluence of um, topic and the remit that I was given to make this the intro definitely served as part of the inspiration. Kate's insistence that it be of the genre of the Cheers theme actually turned out to be quite inspired, as I cribbed heavily from that, although I will not feel too bad about going from the tonic to the dominant and back and forth and so forth. But a lot of times people do suggest you write songs, and as a songwriter, like, and you quietly file it away to the mental circular file. But since I have great affection for this community and all the stuff that we have experienced together, there was plenty of material to work with. And it is sort of right up my alley. There are really two categories of song that I write. There are the E.G. Phillips songs, which are the dark, depressing songwriter songs. And then there are the Ducks with Pants song. It's really sort of a spectrum, but this is clearly in the latter, where I get to use unusual phrases that I would never have imagined on God's green earth ever having the chance to work into a song, and also just do some things that are kind of silly. Anyways, the official title is the In Lieu of Fun theme song, or ILF, but it's also called, in parentheses, We're Not Allowed to Have Fun. And hopefully the audio quality is acceptable.
I'm sure it will be. Can't wait.
Sure you heard about the murder hornets. What about the saber-tooth anchovies? Lots of shows have tech issues. Have you ever seen a baby cannon blow up the host's computer screen? We're not allowed to have fun anymore. So Lieu of Fun, let's at least not be bored. Come on, Greek chorus, it's time to gather. Meet our guest, join the banter, post a question if you wanna be raptured, cause we're not out to have fun. Kate has with animals. Ben's dark shirts are nipple. Royal hunts end in infestation. There's pugilism, trolley problems, and cheese nuts totally right. No, we're not allowed to have fun anymore. So Lieu of Fun while you avoid your chores. Come on, good course, it's time to gather. Meet our guest, join the banter, post a question if you want to get raptured, cause we're not allowed to have fun. Experts in COVID and corvids. Celebrate the cicada swarm. Trash talk Putin and Pompeo. And drink every time someone says no! Still not allowed to have fun. So Lieu of Fun comes so we have in store. Come on, Greek chorus, it's time to gather. Meet our guest, join the banter. Post a question, we want to get raptured, cause we're not allowed to have fun. No, we're not allowed to have fun. We're not allowed to have fun. Not allowed.
All right, we need to post
Oh my god, quite
we
brilliant.
need to post the poll whether to adopt this as the official In Lieu of Fun song.
Yes, I'm creating it right now. Should In Lieu of Fun theme song be In Lieu of Fun's theme song?
Yeah, so I mean, this was quite fun to write. I mean, because you you start out with certain problems that you want to solve, and that leads you in different
Like how to get
directions.
saber-tooth anchovy
Yeah.
into...
Honestly, the first verse was incredibly easy because we basically discussed it during the show. You wanted the baby cannon, you wanted the saber-tooth anchovies and the murder hornets.
So what was the hardest line to get in? The one that really took the,
honestly,
the midnight...
Strangely enough, it was when it came to the second verse, nipply was the last word I added, because I was actually I liked the line "cheese nights are totally a regular thing." And I was like, well, what am I going to write with "thing"? And I was a dog shirt king. That's weird. And it's like, well, I'm doing lots of slanted rhymes. I've got this sort of weird cadence with anchovies anyway, so why not be nipply?
That was excellent. You did pick
Yeah.
up the tempo from the SoundCloud. I like it. It's like a little more jammy, like in the live version. It's kind of great.
Yeah, well, that was sort of an artifact of I was actually wanted to go into Logic and playing with track comping, which was just
Super cool.
yeah. Since I would be doing so in my closet, I thought I should probably do this a little bit beforehand. So this is a good opportunity to do that. Initially, it started out that sort of tempo, but then it sort of became not that, so I had to reduce stuff. But yeah.
So we're going to have to figure out, speaking of tech problems, we're going to have to figure out how to play it in the background while we go live.
Yeah, we're gonna. I love this. Maybe we can do like, it's kind of long, so like maybe we can do like the chorus or something at the beginning, and then like the outro is like the whole thing.
Well, we're gonna have to experiment with it.
Yes.
Maybe we should, because it's in lieu of fun, we could play it in the middle of the show.
That's not disruptive.
There's actually no rule that says it has to be in the.
It can be like
beginning.
a commercial break. It can be an intermission.
Well,
you could just
believe it or
play
not,
it on loop
the
the whole
Cheers
time.
theme song actually has 3 verses, and they actually did a version specifically for the opening that was the length they wanted, because that sometimes you just want to get away. That actually comes into the second verse, while most of the opening is the first verse.
I am so impressed by all of this. You are a master. I could never have done this in a million years. It's just really, and it's just, you did it, you performed it really well. I loved it.
Super great. Thank you for creating it.
I'm very touched. I'm very impressed.
It's almost like we're having a little bit of fun again, not that we will ever admit it.
Yeah.
Never.
Well,
Thank you, Mr. E.G. Phillips.
Bye, friend. Awesome. Mike is here. Mike!
It's Mike Chase.
Hi, Mike Chase.
Did you hear the song?
I heard the song. I heard the tail end of the song, and then I mostly heard the debrief of the song.
It was really good.
So which crimes were committed in the course of making
I want to say that the
song?
poll is up, by the way.
If he was performing that song, no, I can't say it because it would be insulting. The only crime that I know about musical instruments, is that if you're performing a musical instrument in a national wildlife refuge in a way that irritates other people in the wildlife refuge, you've committed a federal crime. It's the only.
What about if you're eating buffalo wings in a way that annoys other people on the show?
Well, I think that's a good point.
Oh, wow. I love this. I love it.
I happen to have brought a buffalo wing. That's amazing.
I have a really... Okay, so we are going to have to discuss the ethics of buffalo wings, which are maybe not federal code, but are in fact like very, I would say, important norms. Drink a Jenny Cream Ale, which is also a rigorous part of correctly eating buffalo wings, in my opinion. But because I'm correctly eating them, I have insisted on putting them back in the oven from the soggy state in which they were delivered to me, and so I have to see if they're ready.
See, that is a smart move. That eating a wing at whatever temperature it arrives at is not an acceptable thing. You have to eat the wing at the temperature that it belongs at. Otherwise, it's an entire way. See, you've got technique there.
All right, I want to talk about a serious buffalo wing issue.
Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah, let's talk about it.
I also want to point out that I chose to wear white pants today, of all days.
Oh, yeah. I wear a white shirt. Look at me. I mean, this is like,
If you take a wine and you call it a Bordeaux, the French government will hound you till the end of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
If the grapes were not from the Bordeaux region.
It's only Champagne if it comes from Champagne.
Yeah, exactly. Now, buffalo wings are named for the city of Buffalo.
Right.
Because they were created in a particular bar in Buffalo.
Yeah.
So
Anchor bar.
Why does the city of Buffalo not behave like the nation of France and basically ban the name Buffalo Wings to anybody who is not, wings are not made? It's like Buffalo style
They
wings.
should.
It just hasn't. They should. I just think it's a thing of time. France has just been around longer, and that makes people crankier.
If I were Buffalo, the mayor of Buffalo, I would be after suing every place every TGI Fridays that has.
You raise a good point. Is this a buffalo wing or is it a sparkling chicken wing?
Exactly. Is it a sort of upper Great Lakes adjacent style wing?
I will say this. I would think that the mayor of Buffalo has a few larger buffalo wings to fry than the fight of buffaloing Appalachian.
I don't know. They could fund the entire revitalization of that city.
Maybe they're like
litigation over the use of the word buffalo by other entities.
Oh God, it's so
Mike
true.
Chase, if the city of Buffalo came to you and said, "We want to sue every restaurant that sells buffalo wings that isn't paying," what would you say to them?
I would say you're going about it all wrong. You need to get a lobbyist to go get a federal crime put on the books first, and then start litigating. Because right now, I don't think that Buffalo owns anything. But
would you get a kickback from that lobbyist?
Would I get a kickback? I don't like to characterize things as kickbacks. I stay away from anything that's characterized as
finder's fee.
I like to get my look. I'm a criminal defense lawyer. I think I've learned one lesson. It's I get all my money up front. I don't get kickbacks because if I don't get it up front, I'm not getting it.
Well said. Oh man, So I'm waiting for they're not sufficiently crispy. I researched this. I want to know what each of you. I will go once I get mine out of the oven. I will give my explanation of buffalo wings. But I want to know what you guys.
You're
went
from
with.
Rochester. Are there Rochester wings?
There are they are very, very close to the Anchor Bar. Yes.
Does Rochester have wing envy as a city?
No, they just feel like a very close, they're just it's kind of, I don't know, being next to it. We kind of can the Terra is the same, and so close that we can we know that this is, that the same kind of meddling of perfect spices and vinegar and peppers is all meld similarly to how it does in Buffalo.
Well, there's an entire segment of the American population that only knows of buffalo wings from Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, I know. If you
What's
Google
Buffalo
it,
Wild Wings?
A
What
terrible
is Buffalo
chain.
Wild Wings. It's a chain restaurant, and it is one of the many things. If you go into the annals of millennial commentary, it is one of the things millennials ruined. Millennials ruined Buffalo Wild Wings.
There was never something to ruin.
Well, casual American family dining has been one of the greatest casualties of millennials. And Buffalo Wild Wings was prominently featured as one of them. But basically, here's the business model. The business model is you take some frozen chicken nuggets, you heat them up, and you throw an insane amount of sauce on them, and you charge people $54. And it's a pretty successful business model.
Yeah, that's really something the millennials ruined, as opposed to
that was us. Yeah, exactly.
So I am. How has your end of pandemic been up there in the practice of criminal defense law?
Oh, that's a good question.
Of all those innocent people wrongly accused in Connecticut.
It's not back yet, right? So and the big discussion that's happening in the the practitioners bar, or the community of practitioners, is when will it ever be back, and will it what is back going to look like? And jury trials are we're just starting to get announcements that jury trials are going to happen. And so the question is, are jury trials going to be what they once were? Are we also going to be seeing that maybe a lower level of charging activity is okay? Because the rate of charging went down. I mean, the number of people that were charged went down, and it was because there weren't court dates, and there were alternative resolutions without having to have people come to court. One of the great things that was happening in sentencing, I was at a sentencing a couple months back where you get a notice from the federal district court judge, and the judge says, look, I'm perfectly happy to conduct this sentencing by Zoom. And it was really a good sign, because the likelihood of your client getting remanded at the end of sentencing when you're doing it by Zoom is very low. There are not marshals sitting behind your client. And so I think a lot of folks have seen this as potentially a more humane era in criminal practice, potentially, I'll say. But I just have a concern that all of a sudden you're going to have pent-up prosecutors who are going to say, hey, we're back, baby, and we're going to have to get this rolling once we clear the backlog and we get rolling. I don't know. So nobody knows what it's going to look like. Who knows what jury service is going to look like?
My dad is a town judge in upstate New York, and he had 4 trials on yesterday, and he hasn't had any. I think that they're all kind of have been delayed, and there were, and so like a lot of stuff is happening. I don't know like how that's going to play out. I really do wonder, like, I also wonder how this is going to play into everything that's happened since George Floyd, and like everything that's been like going on in the country since then. Like, it's a weird confluence, and I'm afraid that people are going to it's too many variables for it to be a controlled experiment. And I'm afraid there's going to be too much assumption that something was because of X type of like change in administration, or X type of change in like attitudes towards race and criminal justice system, and X type of change, and or the pandemic, and I just don't know which direction it's going to go. So
I'll tell you, even a decade ago, when Voire was happening, and you're sitting there in a room full of potential jurors.
Explain what Voire is.
Sure. So Voire is the process by which the veneer people, the people that are cattle called into the court, are basically potential jurors are going to get asked a series of fairly high level questions, and depending on what court you're in, maybe more intimate level questions. Connecticut, my state, still has individual voir dire, so you are still able to individually ask direct questions to your potential jury people. But in most courts, particularly in federal court, you do sort of a box jury style, where they're canvassed and they're asked, a lot of very basic stuff. Does anybody have any prepaid vacations? And of course, everybody has prepaid vacations all of the sudden, because that's a good way to get out of jury duty, or they have obligations at home. But then you get down to bias and things like that, reasons that they might be dismissed for cause, reasons they might not be able to serve on the jury. And back, even like I said, doing jury trials 10 years ago, there was always a question that we would put in there. We would say, do you give money to police benevolent foundations? What's your view of the police? Because the answer was always, look, if this officer gets called to the stand and he gets put into the jury box, and he's going to come in, he's going to be wearing his uniform, he's going to have his good gold pens in his pocket and all that stuff. He's going to look like the model officer. That by and large, your average juror is going to find him more credible than any other witness. They're just going to think that he is. And I don't know that is going to continue to hold, because there's a constant dialogue now about policing. There's a dialogue about police brutality, and the question is, is the defense bar going to see a shift in the veneer people? Are the prosecutors going to see a shift in it, where they no longer are biased towards the police? I don't know. I think that's difficult ship to turn around. But I think you're right. I think in the wake of George Floyd, you're going to see a very different set of opinions coming into the jury box.
Yeah, it'll be interesting what happens to them on appeal, honestly. I think there's going to be a lot of popular pressure on trial court judges or like lower court judges and juries. And then it'll be interesting what happens after that. Well, maybe there'll be more criminal defense cases that go to trial, criminal cases that go to trial, and then like more of them that select jury determinations because of that. So interesting.
So I have to ask, in your post-Trump crime a day persona, is Crime a Day like other important media organizations?
Yes.
Having trouble retaining
That's an easy question.
reader interest with Trump gone?
No, I don't think so. The focus has just shifted because the good thing is that during the Trump era, the Trump era was one of the best things that ever happened to Crime a Day, because I'll tell you, when I started the project in 2014, Barack Obama was president, and I was doing silly off-the-wall stuff. But my project, remember the project, there's a misconception about it. Crime a Day, but to a lot of people, is to just tweet all the silliest crimes on the books. And that's certainly a facet of it, but the project is to count every crime on the books. And so for a while, I was like, I've got some of the most boring crimes on the books, like obstruction of justice and perjury and all of these things. I'm never going to have an opportunity to tweet them because they're going to be so boring that nobody's going to be interested in. But during the Trump era, I could tweet out an obstruction of justice statute and the internet would go wild because everybody was hearing about it and they were fascinated by the statute, and we could talk about it. So I cleared the decks of a lot of, I would think, banal crimes because the public was really paying attention to them. And then, Kate, I'm guessing that you're really tapped into this, but my sense is that a lot of people that never would have considered going to law school before the Trump era are desperate to get into law school now because they read the Mueller report.
There's a couple of things that drive like law school. One is like anyone goes back to graduate school or professional school during an economic downturn. So that was like oddly 2009 to 2010, like there are a lot of like a huge increase in kind of people going into law school, even though there were no jobs for a lot of lawyers coming out.
Right. Yeah.
And then now there is like absolutely an activist type of bent to people going to law school, and it's really great. There's just also not that many. There have been hiring freezes in government and like a lot of nonprofits for a long time. And criminal justice is only, 2 classes in law school if you're lucky. And so, and not everyone wants to practice criminal law. So, but I think that's exactly right. I wanted to mention something, which is I was wondering if so I have a doctor friend that he's my best friend from college, and I text him. He calls it being a pocket doctor. He just every time there's something weird going on, I'm like, do I need to go to the doctor? And he's like, no, you have this, you're fine. And I'm like, okay, great. And that's it. And I kind of feel like you have become my pocket criminal lawyer. Criminal lawyer.
Is it okay if I steal these clams from a protected national seashore?
Yeah, it wasn't clams.
So, I don't think that in Lieu of Fun has harmed this story, but when I was in Iceland, and this goes along with the chicken wings, I was walking on the beach, and there was a dead puffin. And
oh no, are we going to see the dead puffin?
No,
picture?
I'm not going to show it. We can't show it with the eating the wings. But there was it's a beautiful picture, but it's a dead puffin.
There is a picture of the dead puffin.
I sent it to Ben.
Kate texted me very proudly.
When you called me your pocket criminal lawyer, I thought you were going to make a comment on my stature, my small stature.
No, I would just make. Yeah.
You're not shorter than I am.
I think we're the same height, Ben.
You keep saying that you're a short Ben, but I have yet to see proof of this. So.
That's because we've never met in person, Kate.
Yeah, right.
We only know each other as boxes.
That's not true, Mike. We have met in person. Oh no. But
we have never met in person, Kate.
That's true.
You
we
and I
haven't
have never met in person.
Well,
But Mike Chase and I have met in person.
Yeah.
And in fact, we drank scotch and recorded the Lawfare podcast together. I will tell you, I do notice when males are shorter than I am because it's so rare.
Same.
This was not one of those times.
Oh, all right. I must have been wearing my good shoes. I don't know.
No, you're more than 5'6".
it's really funny.
I got to get my license changed.
So we're in Iceland and we're walking on the beach and I find this like very desiccated
But we're back to the dead puffins.
Yeah, well, I have to finish the joke.
Did you fry the puffins' wings and serve them
No,
with Tabasco sauce?
it was gross. It was gross. But it was also kind of weirdly beautiful, and it was also definitely a puffin. I just like never seen a puffin. I didn't get to see any live puffins. All I saw was this dead puffin. So, I took this picture of it, and then I kind of was like, well, actually, no one should be surprised at this whatsoever. I was like, oh, can I take this back with us? And I was like, and John was like, abso-fucking-lutely not. Absolutely not. And I was like, what about just the head? And he was like, absolutely not. And I was like, please. And he was like, I'm like, it is so cool. That beak is like amazing. It would be like a really cool, and John is like, no. And then finally the compromise that he came up with was text a crime a day and ask him if it's a federal crime to bring a dead puffin into the country. Like that would stop me or something. Like the rules apply to me.
Law professor
arrested for dead puffin head.
With dead puffin.
And we texted you, and I texted you, and I remember very specifically being like, I found a skeletal puffin on the beach, and I want to know if I can take the skull back with me to Brooklyn. And you were like, probably not. And you gave me like this like statute, and I was like, darn. And then I was like, here's the picture. And then you were like, ... Kate, that has meat on it.
It had meat on it. I mean, this was not, when you said puffin skull.
Yeah.
Right.
This was not a skull.
Well, there was a skull in there.
Except in the
There was a skull all the way in there.
Right. Like that if you ripped away the flesh, underneath it, there would be a skull.
So I just want to be clear. When you say that you texted me, like, it was 8 o'clock in the morning. My phone dings. 8 a.m. My phone dings. And it wasn't like, hey, I'm traveling and I was thinking of you. The text was, and I'm going to breach privilege here because you were seeking legal advice, but I'm going to read it. The text is, I found a dead puffin skull on the beach in Iceland. It's super cool. John won't let me take it home because he says it's a federal crime. We have agreed that you can be the decision maker and we'll abide by your judgment. And my response was, 16 U.S.C. Section 703, 705, 707, and 50 CFR 1013 probably make it a federal crime to import that Fratercula articta skull, which I guess is the Latin, unless you know how it died and you're ready to do some light taxidermy. Because if you were really interested, I could have taught you how to salt it in your hotel room or wherever you were staying, and you could have probably brought it home.
No,
you would have
John
had to
really
boil
wouldn't
and
let me
salt
touch it. No, that was never going to happen. Like,
Okay.
it was really not going to happen. But I don't know. It was
say
kind of
that in the last time I was at the airport at Keflavik to fly home from Iceland, which I've only been to twice in my life, you can buy some awfully strange animal products there.
Yeah.
yes.
Including, various sheep brain kind of products and, the fermented shark stuff. But I didn't see taxidermed puffin head. So maybe there is
But they do
a
sell
market.
puffin meat.
Was there
They
puffin
do.
meat there?
Yeah, they actually a bunch of I think a lot of Icelanders, when I asked them where I could see puffins, took great delight in telling me they enjoyed the taste of puffin while telling me where to find the puffins.
Yeah.
I have a puffin story, and it's really embarrassing, and I'm going to confess to my only documented instance of plagiarism, I think, in my academic career. But in
We'll
first
probably
grade,
forgive you.
in first grade, we had to come up with a no smoking campaign. And at an ice cream place that I used to go to up in Massachusetts, they had stickers on the window that had a picture of a puffin with a cigarette in its mouth. And it just said, "No puffin, please." And so I just did that exactly. And I won the school competition. They were like, "This is the most clever thing ever." And so I did what any first grader would do, which is I accepted the award graciously and never mentioned that I had totally plagiarized it. But then whenever I think of puffins, I always think of that, getting away with plagiarism.
Yeah, I think that's the major significance of the species, actually, which is
they're
that
the
Mike
plagiarist bird.
got away with plagiarism.
I agree.
So, Mike, Crime a Day is thriving, as crime tends to do.
Yeah.
How is the project of documenting all the crimes going?
It is going pretty good. So it's 2014 it began. Every year I sort of document how far I've gotten along, and so we're at June. What is it? June 11th today. So on July 17th, I will issue the annual Crime a Day report, where I will announce how far I've come. And what
can we expect from that transparency exercise?
Yeah, so I will tell you what my estimated progress is and what my estimated completion date is. And if I had to recall correctly, let me just see. I can tell you my estimated completion date right now. It is... All right. My estimated completion date for tweeting all of the federal crimes on the books is currently February of the year 2848, if I do one every day. So
you're only 800 years off.
I'm like not that far. I'm getting pretty close.
Can you just start doubling up?
No, then it would be a crime twice a day.
It's funny because there's a lot of people that say, like, they say, can't you just have a robot do it? Just pump out all the crimes. But, like, if you've ever gone and tried to dig through the code and the CFR, you know that they are not just sitting there ready to be picked. I estimate that I do about 2 hours of work per crime to get it tweeted. And so I'm not...
Wow.
I already spend too much time on Twitter. So I don't think committing 4 hours a day makes much sense. Maybe I'll do it, but I think right now
you need a research assistant.
You need a non-tweet
compilation.
If you changed your name to West Publishing or or Thomson Reuters, you could go much faster.
Well, I did get a request. Thomson Reuters reached out to me not that long ago and said, basically, can we scrape your tweets? Because we think we can teach a machine to do what you do. And
I hope you were like, are you going to pay me royalties for my tweets?
If they would just pay my monthly Westlaw bill, I'd be fine with that. That'd be also okay. But I actually still disagree. I don't know a lot about machine learning. I still am of the view that I don't think a computer can do it. I do not think that legislators and law and regulators have written a code that actually can be deciphered. Maybe I'm wrong. That may be naive of me. That's not my field. But the amount of double negatives and triple negatives that have to occur, the sub-regulatory guidance that you have to consult in order to figure out what's actually criminalized, I don't know that a machine could do it. But.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's really crazy. Audience questions?
Yeah, but I have to
Should we talk about whose wings are best?
Oh my God, these were so good.
So people seem to be getting very. I'm surprised that our eating of buffalo wings has been found appetizing by folks. I think we should take that as a great compliment. But yeah,
I know. So wait, how are yours, Mike?
Mine are good. So I do a few things. Like there's this Jamaican restaurant that's right down the road from where I live, and they have this hot sauce that I think it comes from Jamaica. I don't know. It's like in unmarked bottles, but I bring some home every now and then. So I like to add that to a more traditional buffalo sauce. and mix it in, and then I also add cayenne pepper and chili powder to my sauce.
Oh,
They're
interesting.
very good. So I like them. They're good.
The biggest thing I have like qualms with is barbecue sauce on wings.
Okay. Mm.
Ben, what
And
were yours?
What are the nature of the qualms?
Oh,
Like,
that's not that's not a buffalo wing at all.
Yeah,
It's a
a
barbecue.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think if it's got a, but I think there's, here's something that we haven't considered. Hang on a second. I'm gonna share
These are key.
this image of buffalo wings. These are the ones that I'm eating,
Those are good.
Oh yeah.
and they're good. They're not, the sauce isn't great, but it does seem more authentic than just. It doesn't taste like chicken. It really tastes like buffalo.
We had a beefalo. A beefalo escaped from a farm here in Connecticut just at the beginning of COVID, and was on the lamb for like.
No pun
Oh,
intended.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Oh, can a beefalo be on the lamb? I guess so.
Well,
Yeah,
you
that's
never know.
exactly what it is.
Yeah. Well, it was on the run at least, and it was for a long time. And Buddy the beefalo was like a fugitive for a long time. He was going to be slaughtered.
Did you represent him?
I would have gladly represented him. I would have left my entire book of practice just to represent a beefalo if I had the opportunity.
Just question: is a beefalo capable of the mens rea associated with any criminal act?
So I would have thought not, except they did find Buddy the beefalo last month or so, and you know where he was? He snuck himself into a private farm, and he was just making love to all of the female cows, like just in heaven. And the owner was like, "Yeah, I noticed him, but like, I didn't say anything." And like, I just dig that farmer. I dig Buddy the beefalo. Like everybody knew when to shut up.
Usually, the farmer is probably happy because they have to pay money to have a bull come over, and
That's true.
do its job.
Buffalo though must be huge.
I mean,
I
yes,
don't
that
know.
would seem. But so
I've
are
never
bulls.
measured a beefalo. I don't know.
I mean, bison are big animals.
They're big.
They're bigger than cows, and bulls are pretty big by themselves. But I don't know. It seems like it's going to be pretty large.
Kate, you do make a good point about the value of an escaped bull, because like if there's one thing I've learned from Crime a Day, maybe my favorite takeaway, it is how regulated animal semen is. Like unbelievable amounts of animal semen regulations. But I also learned how expensive animal semen is. It's like outrageously expensive.
I know this is going to sound weird,
insemination
but I know
cost.
like a weird amount about this from the farm in Montana.
Yes,
like
you
there's
would, Kate.
Yes, I know. It's really expensive, and then it's actually really hard to find like a nice bull that's not really mean or terrible or like bullying.
So if you
I've been hearing that.
if
People
you
are having a
int-
hard time finding a nice bull who
So wait,
they're
if you-
compatible with. It's just really bad.
if you intentionally use bull semen to impregnate cows, is that semen's rea?
Jesus. How close are we to 6 o'clock?
Sorry.
I don't know. Speaking of, we have to start bringing people in.
Yeah. Well, that'll be an easy act to follow.
But that was actually, I mean, I kind of did. That was pretty good.
Awful.
let me see. Okay. We have Genevieve is gonna come on. I really do think that you should get, like, I feel like it would be a wonderful thing for you to train law students on, to like train them on how to like determine whether something is a crime, right? Like, I feel like this happens a lot, that people are like, is it illegal? And you're like, like that is such a,
Yeah.
like, and so it would be like a great little like adjunct class that you could teach.
Yeah,
And,
I would gladly do it, because I think that unfortunately, I just got into a fight with somebody on Twitter about this the other night, who took this sort of very, very hyper-technical view that a lot of people have, they get taught in law school, that a regulation cannot make something a crime. That a regulation is
But that's
incapable of making...
bullshit.
It is not correct. It is
Right.
false. And they say, no, only a statute can do that. You should stick to the United States Code. And I said, well, all right, here's a statute, and it says that you can be imprisoned if you commit any violation of any regulation issued pursuant to this title. I said, so tell me what you can't do. Tell me all of the things that you can't do. Because everybody that's ever done elements analysis knows you do not know the crime until you look at the regulation.
There's a gazillion offenses that are defined in, the statute just says there shall be criminal penalties associated with violation of regs issued under the following titles, and then you go into those regs and they read like a crime a day.
That's right.
Genevieve Della Fera, who commits crimes every day, faster than Mike Chase can document them.
I do. Grammatical crimes mostly, and humor crimes as well.